Hi, good evening, everyone. Welcome. Hope everyone had a nice Memorial Day weekend. I call the meeting to order. This meeting of the Hopkinton Select Board is being held both in person and remotely using the video conference platform Zoom. Select Board members Brian Herr and Matt Kisner will be participating remotely, and all other members of the Select Board are present for this meeting at Town Hall, room 215, 216 in person. At this time, I'll ensure that the Select Board members participating remotely can hear and be heard. Matt, can you hear me? Matt,
We can't hear you, man.
yeah.
Try Brian and then come back to Matt?
Yeah, Matt, we'll come back to you. Brian, can you hear me? Any chance we're having volume issues in the room?
There's a message on the screen that says turn up volume. I don't know. Yeah.
Is there a way to turn up the volume in the room? All right, Brian or Matt, can you guys hear us? We're having trouble hearing you both. It shows him as talking.
Right, he's showing his screen as talking, but we
Is there
can't hear
anyone
him.
else remotely?
There is someone else. Scott Ober is remote as an attendee.
How about the Zoom host?
What's it?
Can the Zoom host,
Oh, Ben is on. Do you want?
can we hear?
Oh, Ben, can you see if you can speak? Oh, he did light, actually, Ben just lit up and we didn't hear him.
Check, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Oh, we can hear
Hold on.
Ben, but it's faint, right?
Yeah.
Test.
Brian or Matt, can you guys try again?
Yep, hello.
All right, there was Matt. Brian?
Yeah, I can hear Matt and Ben extremely well. I hear you guys fine too.
Yeah, so we can hear you both. It's very quiet. Any suggestions if the speakers are at max?
Seemed to work. Turn the volume up.
Zoom?
All right, folks, bear with us for a second.
We're not connected to the internet.
You still there, Matt?
Yeah, I can hear you. You still hear me okay?
I hear you perfectly fine, so.
That's a little bit better, for Matt at least.
It's just very faint in the room.
So is it not coming?
I lost my internet,
Oh,
I had to relog. Kicked me off at first.
so my chat to Ben didn't.
Oh.
Internet first.
Try relogging. Yeah, that should work.
any ideas, Donna? No. Is there,
Maxed out on the tablet, I'm wondering if it's the actual hardware of the speaker itself.
oh,
My connection is maxed out.
is there a dial on the wall?
Remote for the speaker?
It's all HCAM equipment, so.
Okay.
So like our speakers are coming through loudly. Is that coming through just the TVs and not the speakers? Do we know that?
Yeah, I don't know, because it's all HCAM.
Okay.
No one else uses it.
Could we turn on captions on the Zoom so we could at least read what they're saying?
How about now, guys? Can you hear me at all?
It's unchanged, Brian. I can hear you. It's just, I don't know if anyone else in the room can. Thank you.
It's happening to both, so it's a system.
Yes. And now I can't remember. It should be coming through the speakers that are
In the room.
in the room. But it
Yes.
sounds like it's coming through the TV, like the monitor itself.
It's hard to tell directional sound, so I'm not sure, but yeah, it could-
But you know what I mean? Like just
it's very faint, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
the speakers are very loud.
Did the output get shifted somehow? I don't know, yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah, I don't know how it's wired. I don't know.
yeah. It's almost like the Zoom is coming through the monitor instead of the speaker.
Ben, does it matter from your perspective if we try calling in on a phone number instead of like the Zoom or something? I'm just trying to
Call on
think
a phone?
creatively.
Would it-
Matt, if you want to give that a try while she's talking to HCAM, it doesn't hurt.
Mute yourself
To
on the
me,
Zoom.
it sounds like it's something in the room, so I don't necessarily think how you interface with Zoom is going to matter if it's something down.
You guys can hear better back there?
Out of that. So maybe it's the TVs that are like muted, I feel like, but
Yeah. All right.
I don't know.
Well, why don't we all? Yo, what if we all drop and come back in? Sometimes that works.
If you want to try that, Brian, they can hear you in the back of the room. I can hear them.
Yeah, I can hear.
I just
barely.
dropped and rejoined, so if it's no different for you, it's no different.
Yeah, should we try, if they, we'll see if she has any advice from Jim, but if they can hear them in the back of the room, I may have to ask them to repeat things a couple times, but
Yeah, I mean, I have the captions on for me, but, very hard.
Yeah, I can hear. That's,
Evaluate or something.
all right.
It did kick me off.
I just want to see what she gets from Jim.
Still the public one to get back on.
is it audible on the laptop? Then we can put in a speaker.
Oh, I could turn my volume on the laptop. Do you want me to try it?
Maybe put it on that microphone.
We have to be, all of our mics, like, our mics would have to be muted, I would guess.
Yeah, I think it would echo. That's all I can do.
I just want to see what she says. We might have to just move on as is. Well, once we get into like discussions, we always go to them individually, so it should be quiet at that point.
People be quiet when they're speaking.
Yeah.
Brian or Matt, I just turned on my computer. Oh, so that makes it double loud, right? That's the problem.
I just want to hear what they
Can you
say.
hear me now?
We can.
They can in the back, but not us. Okay, I'm
I
gonna turn that
I
back
think we
on.
might just have to carry on. Any advice?
So the audio that each controls, because in the language at the maximum level, we can hear them. So we're thinking it's something through Zoom. So within Zoom, you don't get to control the audio level, but you get to control the source. So I'm not quite sure because the source is working, but you hear them. So Jim's sending out a text to see if he can get on and make it louder. To do something. We redo, we need it, okay, through Zoom.
All right, so I think we're going to start then, and it's just going to need to be, whenever the two members are speaking remotely, we'll just need it to be quiet. We may have to ask for them to reiterate a couple times, but we're going to give it a go in the interest of time. All right, thank you everyone for the patience. So the public has the option of attending in person here at Town Hall or via Zoom using the link posted in this meeting's agenda. This meeting is being recorded. All votes will be taken by roll call vote. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And if I could make a point of order, I was going to recommend we take the Select Board reorganization first now that we've done the Pledge of Allegiance.
I'll second that.
Okay.
Did you guys hear that? Point of order to move the Select Board reorganization up to the front of the list. There's a motion and a second. It's got to be roll call.
Amy Everbush, yes.
Shahidul Manan, yes.
Joe Clark, yes. Brian?
Brian Herr, yes.
Matt?
Matt Kisner, yes.
Okay. So with that, so now the board will reorganize for the year, determine the chair and the vice chair. We've been using the Roberts Rules of Orders, and as we did this last year, it's not really make a motion needs to be seconded. In a second, I'll just open it up. Keep me honest here, and we just kind of look for if you want to nominate someone, we can make that nomination, and then, we can discuss between the multiple nominations. Everyone get that from a process standpoint? Matt, Brian?
Yes.
Perfect. So I will actually start then, and I would nominate Shahidul Manan as chair. And I'll look for any other options at this time. I will take silence as not a Zoom issue, and we do need a motion and a second for this, right? And then,
So,
I think you
for the benefit
take
of
the
public
nomination,
discussion,
and then you
I just want to make it
close
clear,
nominations.
really appreciated your time as chair, Joe. It seems as though you were not interested in running again, fully supportive of where we are headed now. Just didn't want to miss the opportunity to thank you. It was not an easy year, both because of myself and just the significant things this board had to deal with. And while we are reorganizing, I don't want for a second that to be taken as a view on you or your leadership. So thank you for that.
thanks, Matt. I appreciate that. So with that, I would look to close the nominations.
So make a motion to close the nominations.
Second.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Roll call.
Amy Everbush, yes.
Shahidul Manan, yes.
Joe Clark, yes. Matt?
Matt Kisner, yes.
Brian?
Brian Herr, yes.
Perfect. And now it's just, we only have one, so it's a vote. We're going to just do roll call, of course.
So the motion to appoint Shahidul Manan as chair, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so I make a motion to appoint Shahidul as chair.
Second.
Okay, Amy Everbush, yes.
Joe Clark,
Shahidul Manan, yes.
Joe Clark, yes. Brian?
Brian Herr, yes.
Matt?
Matt Kisner, yes. Congratulations, sir.
Perfect. Congrats. We'll switch seats.
Thank you, everyone. I appreciate the nomination and selection. We'll get to the next, sorry. Okay. We'll get to the next item to elect vice chair for the board. And the rules are the same, so I'll open up for nomination. Do we have a nomination for vice chair?
I would nominate Matt Kisner.
I would second that. Now we'll go for a roll call vote. Amy Everbush.
Well, I think we got to close the nomination,
Oh,
right? And double check, are there any other, check if
are
there's,
there any other nominations or anyone want to make any other proposal? Hearing none,
I would move to close the nominations.
I would second.
Roll call.
Roll call vote. Amy Everbush.
Amy Everbush, yes.
Joe Clark, yes.
Brian Herr.
Brian Herr, yes.
Matt Kisner.
Matt Kisner, yes.
Shahidul Manan, yes. Now we'll go for the roll call vote.
Yeah, I would move to formally nominate Matt Kisner as vice chair.
I'll second that. I'll go for roll call vote. Amy Everbush.
Amy Everbush, yes.
Joe Clark, yes.
Brian Herr.
Brian Herr, yes.
Matt Kisner.
Matt Kisner, yes.
Shahidul Manan, yes. Congratulations, Matt.
Thank you all for support. Looking forward to working with you.
Thank you. We'll move on to our next agenda. We'll go back to our public forum, actually. We'll open up the public forum, and each person will have up to 2 minutes to speak at public forum, and please start by stating your name and address. And also, we would like to remind that we are going to open it up for 15 minutes because we have other agenda items after that. But we want to listen to all residents' voices, so we will open it up again towards the end of the meeting as we progress through our agenda. So with that, I'll open it up. Anyone in the room wants to speak, please come forward.
And I just want to clarify, since we started at 6:15, we'll go until 6:30, correct?
Thank you, that's correct.
6:31.
Oh, thank you, I appreciate it.
Comes out of the 2 minutes.
Good evening, Marie Laskowski, 15 Loring Drive, Ashland. Whoosh.
Point it the other way.
Mute that mic, use that one. Try that one. No, mute it, that button at the base.
Yeah,
Mute it, try that mic. It's not doing it.
testing. Much better. May I have 2 more minutes? Okay.
All right, please continue.
All right, all set. Tonight I want to talk about the public safety assessment scope. First, we'd like to thank you for taking on this assessment. And we want to realize that it does matter and that the community notices when the board is willing to look honestly at how things are working. I want to offer one concern about the scope as it's currently drafted. It defines public safety somewhat too narrowly. Public safety isn't a single function. Emergency response coordination is one piece of it. It's an important piece, but it's not the whole picture. The licensing process is part of public safety. How the HPD engages under licensing policy is part of it. CORI and SORI checks and the ongoing oversight of registered offenders are part of it as well. Each of these shape whether people in this town are actually safe. A scope limited to emergency response coordination produces a school safety review. A broader scope produces a real public safety assessment. We're asking that the board take a broader view, specifically in 3 areas. First, the HPD culture around sexual assault, domestic violence, and victim response. When someone comes forward, how are they treated? What do the documented patterns show? What training and oversight are in place? Second, sex offender registration, tracking, and oversight. Hopkinton has documented failures here, and the town is currently a defendant in related litigation. As an assessment, that doesn't examine this function, and it really needs to do so in order for it to be a true public safety assessment. And third, how the HPD supports the licensing process. The Common Vic policy that you will be discussing tonight appropriately requires the HPD involvement, but the current record shows gaps in engagement, incomplete documentation, and inconsistent judgment. That's worth examining. Each of these areas connect to real incidents in this community. Each deserve the same honest policy review the current scope proposes for emergency response.
Thank you. You're close to time.
Yeah, I'll be quick. Public safety for children, teens, and women doesn't happen in only emergencies. It happens in the quiet moments, you guys. It happens when someone walks into the station asking for help, when a registered offender addresses needs to be verified, and when a licensing decision is being made about who gets to operate the business. All we're asking you to do is we hope that you define it broadly enough to match the needs of what this community actually needs. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room or on Zoom? Please come on over.
Good evening. Don Kaiser, Oakhurst Road. I wanted to speak about, of course, the lake is being poisoned again. This time with 3 PFAS chemicals were added. At the CONCOM meeting a couple of 2 Concom meetings ago for our lake. Nobody questioned anything about these PFAS questions. You know, what are they? One of them, Priscilla Corps, for instance, says that you should not use the plants that have been poisoned with this for compost. That's going to be in the bottom of our lake. But the broader concern is, somewhere in my searching of all the things that are going on with environmental, is I came across this sign of a town, big yellow welcome sign that said, non-toxic town. This is one of the most toxic towns. We spray from the air for mosquitoes, we've killed the bugs, the lawn chemicals are everywhere, the mosquito people are always out selling stuff, we're putting poisons in the lake, the town is putting poisons all along the right-of-ways. As an environmentalist, this is one of my favorite times of year because there's flowers popping up everywhere. But these things pop up like dandelions. And I had a physician friend of mine tell me a couple of weeks ago, he says, one of the most dangerous places to live in this country is next to a golf course. If your neighbors are doing this, will this also more than double your chance of getting Parkinson's disease? Because that's what happens when you live next to a golf course, as well as other cancers. I mean, what are we doing? We're spreading poisons absolutely everywhere. You don't see them, so people don't think about them. And I don't think anybody reads this. It says, pesticide application, keep people and pets off. You know, I mean, why would anybody do that to their lawn and their neighbors? I would like the Board of Health to maybe require applicators to at least say what they're spreading and where and how much, and have to be licensed to come into our town. We should have some control. And we don't even know when they're going to spray for mosquitoes. I've got my no spray signs up. I put the, you know, I even registered with the state, but it was just put out that they covered with that Anvil 1010 2 years ago, they covered most of the eastern part of Massachusetts with PFAS because those.
Thank you. We're close to time.
All right. It was nice to talk to you, and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Please come on.
Hi, Ed Harrow, 8 Spring Lane. I'm trying to bring a little humor and levity to the affair, so bear with me. Maybe sir, I got to the seat just at the wrong time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to talk about silo management. Are you familiar with the term silo management? So several years ago, I had a discussion with someone here, not here, but in town, about silo management in Hopkinton. And this was brought to my attention just recently, but I want to give you a little background. 2021, COVID, we're sitting out in a tent, and shocking to me comes up Article 28H, $56,000 of open space funds used to buy a swampland without ever discussing it with open space. 2023, it's a gift, 5 acres, with knotweed in the trash pile. Never again was open space asked, hey, do you want this? 2024, a breath of fresh air, things are changing. Care and custody of Echo Trail transferred to OSPC, and we were involved in this. 2025, Article 28H, purchase of land on Saddle Hill, and we were involved with that. Hopkinton Independent article, not a town meeting article, 17 May 2026. I read in the Hopkinton Independent article of work being done on the Echo Trail parking lot. Perhaps it was well needed, but once again, silo management interceded and OSPC was never notified. Thank you. You'll enjoy what's in your silos, I hope.
Thank you. I think Mr. Parker was earlier. Thank you. Please.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So there's 8 to 12 documents required for a common vic license package. That's it. 4 to 5 come from the applicant. The balance come from the town. That's it. Town manager's record for delivering these complete packages to all of you to vote on, 18%, 45% for the past 3 years. No better than that. Keep that in your mind, 18 to 45%. The rest get passed with contingencies. They never come back to you. They never get voted on again. They just go through the system silently. In 2024, based on public record we can find, Hopio never even applied for a renewal license and ran 398 days without one. Never got flagged, never got voted until 2026. Maybe we're wrong, but it's not in the record. That's not an oversight. This is a system that and an institution working exactly the way it's been designed to normalize to work. Now, let's shift to the policy in front of you tonight on Vic licenses. We submitted multiple documents to the town and the board over the past year. Not one has ever been included in your agenda packs for public review, not one. That includes the 7 proposed amendments you just got last week. And on the record, you all have them. You choose not to put them in the public. The town and the board have, but there's a bigger problem. A policy is only effective as the town manager and her team's ability to implement it. That record I just spoke of, adopting a new policy without enforcement and implementation mechanism doesn't fix the problem, it perpetuates it. These problems have been going on for years. The institution has ignored them, you normalize them. The primary objective tonight is not a policy approval. The primary objective tonight is public safety for our children, for our teens, and for our women. Trumpeting a new policy without serious change in implementation and enforcement tells everyone in this room you're not focused on the right objective. You're the ones who can break the cycle. Do you maintain and perpetuate and normalize these institutional failures? Or do you want to create real reform to protect our children, our teens, and our women? They deserve the latter. The choice is yours. It becomes your legacy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
This one?
Let's try that.
The other one.
Hello? Parker Happ, 3S Yellow Drive. So when I was working at Amazon, I remember being at an all-hands meeting where Jeff Bezos was talking about this story where he was shadowing a customer service rep. And when he was doing it, there was this table that popped up on the screen, and the rep said to Bezos, that's going to be broken. And Bezos was kind of surprised by that and said, well, how do you know? He said, well, whatever those tables come up, they're always broken. And it struck him that this rep knew what was happening, better than maybe what some in the fulfillment center did, that he wanted to address the problem. And he looked at what other companies do from a quality control perspective and found that Toyota have this process. It's called an and-on cord, where the and-on cord is on the line, and if a frontline individual sees a defect happening multiple times, that any person on the line can pull the and-on cord, and it stops the whole Toyota production line until the problem is fixed. And we happen to have a similar process in town government, which is interesting, which it's called a citizen petition. And there's been some consternation relative to the citizen petition process, but it is a process and it's something that's guaranteed by state law. And we went through this process for, private roads, and we're told at town meeting that there would be an agenda item for resolving private roads at this meeting. And I looked at the agenda and I couldn't find a single mention of private roads. And so we're doing another citizen petition to get a special town meeting called, and we have enough signatures that we could file tomorrow to, address some of the concerns that weren't addressed at town meeting, in addition to funding the Hawthorne project. And I bring this not to, complain, but to say I'm going to keep taking action, and I hope to work with the board. But, saying at town meeting that we're going to have an action item on this agenda and not doing it isn't really a vote of confidence. So I hope we can work together on that.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room?
Shravan Krishna, 1 Fairview Path. I'd like to congratulate Shahidul Manan for his appointment as election as the chair, and Matt Kisner for being elected as vice chair. Thank you, Joe, for your service as the chair. Thank you all for your service. I guess I was 1 year too early, and you got to tell me the secret on how you got younger after a year. Thank you all.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room or online?
There are 4 people online, but no hands raised.
Please come on in.
Hi, my name is Lynn Key. I'm currently a resident of Millville. You may remember me from my comments at both the 120 and 4-8 Select Board meetings, and I'm speaking to you regarding tonight's discussion on the proposed common victualler license policy. This policy tells the board what information to collect when reviewing requests for business licenses. It requires query and SORI checks. It requires written comments from the police department, including reports of any incidents or police responses to the premises. It gives the board authority to review criminal history in executive session. It gives the board authority to deny renewal and to revoke licenses. In short, the new policy is thorough and a vast improvement on what's currently in place, and I'd like to make note of that. It's clear that it was written in direct response to concerns raised by your constituents, and for that I applaud you all, essentially. Should it be implemented, it would go a long way towards helping to keep the people of Hopkinton safe from predators like Petros Sismanis of Hillers and George Vasilikaris of Bill's Pizza. My issue is this: a policy that outlines what information must be collected and considered but does not dictate what to do with it is not a protection, it is a process. And you've heard others say that tonight. Unfortunately, this institution, among many others that I'm aware of throughout the state and the country, has demonstrated across multiple administrations and multiple cycles that every piece of information this policy requires can be presented to the board without any real impact, even on liquor license transfers, which are overseen by the state. Where is the oversight mechanism here? In 2014, this board had all of the above information when a criminal record surfaced for one of the owners of Bill's during an attempt to transfer their liquor license. This is all a matter of public record. They had George Vasilikaris' query. They knew of his criminal conviction for assault and battery. They had the town attorney present. They even had the police report from the 2012 incident showing how he had held his victim, a female employee in her early 20s, down, and that his DNA evidence was found on the front of her pants in the process.
Thank you.
You were not at that meeting, guys, not all of you, but your colleague, Brian Herr, was. He posited that a 4-day liquor license suspension and a management training course were adequate consequences for the incident in question. Then, to ensure a smooth liquor license transfer,
thank you,
business removed George Vasilikaris from the license application and replaced him with his wife, knowing he would never pass the state's query. Not one member of the select board questioned the perpetrator or his wife. In fact, over the course of the 3 to 4 separate meetings during which his transfer was discussed, only one member spoke up. He's no longer here, Ben Palico. He saw through what was going on and knew it was wrong and was outvoted 4-1.
Heather Stanek, Worcester, Massachusetts. The issue here was not a lack of information because the board had that, a lack of enforceable standards for action and specific thresholds requiring the board to act was. Without oversight, this new policy leaves outcomes entirely to the moral compass of whoever is sitting at the table, and we cannot afford any gray area. In 2014, that moral compass pointed to a 4-day liquor license suspension as adequate punishment for an establishment that was clearly trying to shirk the state's query requirement. At the last meeting I attended, the same moral compass found it appropriate to call the police when I stood up to point out that there were survivors in the room being silenced between items for under a minute. Notably, not one of the 3 officers dispatched saw fit to approach me about my disturbance. I am writing to ask you that you go into tonight's meeting with a clear understanding of this distinction and its impact. The policy is only as strong as the institution willing to enforce it, and this institution's public record on issues like the one outlined above has allowed more young girls and women in Hopkinton to be caused immense harm. I am asking not as your constituent, but as the sister of Amanda Key. Giorgio Vasilikaris, 2012 victim. The trauma inflicted upon her by her attacker and the system that protected him led to a decade-long struggle with CPTSD and substance use disorder that stemmed from it. Though she fought hard, she ultimately lost her battle with addiction, succumbing to her trauma via an overdose in January of 2023. She was 33 years old. She left 3 beautiful children who deserved their mother happy, healthy, and whole. She deserved better. It's too late to protect my sister. Please protect someone else's and make a push to add enforceable standards for action to this new policy. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll now move on to our next agenda item, which is the consent agenda.
So the number 3 public forum statement, we don't have anything for tonight, is that correct?
We don't. Thank you, good call, Amy. The Select Board will consider the following consent agenda meeting minutes. The Select Board will consider approving the minutes of the April 14, 2026, May 2, 2026, and May 5, 2026 meetings. Accept gift. The Select Board will consider accepting a donation of $600 from the Friends of the Hopkinton Seniors to support the Senior Center's Memory Cafe program and $2,635 from the Friends of the Hopkinton Seniors to support the Senior Center's lunch program. Resignation. The Select Board will consider accepting the resignation of Beth Watson from the Hopkinton Historic District Commission, new town employee. The Select Board will consider affirming the town manager's appointment of Prince Guillaume as the town's water and sewer assistant. Farmers Market alcohol application. The Select Board will consider approving MGLC 138 15F Farmers Market license for Rushford and Sons Brewhouse to sell beer at the Hopkinton Farmers Market on Sundays from June 7, 2026 to October 11, 2026. An MGLC 138 Section 15F certification has been approved by the Massachusetts Department of Agricultural Resources, MDR. The retail sale and sampling must be completed in accordance with MDR regulations. Sample size cannot exceed 1 ounce and no more than 5 samples can be served to a single individual. Samples must be provided in a single-use disposable cups. Vendor must provide suitable trash receptacles to accommodate the sample cups. Vendor must ID individuals requesting a sample to verify that they are of legal age. And bottles opened and used for sampling cannot be sold to the public. All paperwork, including tips, certifications, and insurance have been provided. The Corey and Sori checks have been completed. Last one, Jamalo Craft Wines, to sell wine at the Hopkinton Farmers Market on Sundays from June 7, 2026 to October 11, 2026. An MGLC 138 Section 15F certification has been approved by the MDR. The retail sale and sampling must be completed in accordance with MDR regulations. Sample size cannot exceed 1 ounce and no more than 5 samples can be served to a single individual. Samples must be provided in single-use disposable cups. Vendor must provide suitable trash receptacles to accommodate the sample cups. Vendor must ID individuals requesting a sample to verify that they are of legal age. And bottles opened and used for sampling cannot be sold to the public. All paperwork, including tips, certifications, and insurance have been provided. The Corey and Sori checks have been completed.
So moved.
Do you have a second?
I can second.
We'll do a roll call vote. Any discussions?
Yeah, I do have a question. So it says the Corey and Sori checks have been completed, but does this also indicate there were nothing came up on either?
That's correct. Nothing came up.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments?
Nope, I'm good.
We'll go to roll call vote.
You want to see if Brian and Matt have suggestions?
Oh, yes. Brian, Matt, can you hear us? Do you have any suggestions or comments?
All set.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, Brian, go ahead.
He said all set.
I'm all set. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll do roll call vote.
Amy Robish, yes.
Joe Clark, yes.
Brian?
Brian Herr, yes.
Matt?
Matt Kisner, yes.
Shahidul Manan, yes. We'll move to the next agenda item, which is FY 2025 audit presentation. The Select Board will receive the fiscal year 2025 audit report prepared by Rosalie Clark and Associates based on its review of the town of Hopkinton's fiscal year 2025 financial statements. The auditors concluded that the town's financial statements are presented fairly and did not identify any violations in the expenditure of federal awards. And we have our auditors and town administration. Please go ahead. Take it away.
Good evening. My name is Terenzio Vopicelli. I'm a representative of Roselli Clark and Associates, Certified Public Accountants, with offices in Woburn and Hopedale, Massachusetts. But before we get started, I'm dying to know what's inside the silos.
We'll see.
You can't open till Christmas.
I was hoping maybe it was candy or something. So, like I said, we were outside auditors. We were engaged. This was actually the final year of a 3-year engagement letter dated May 5th of 2023. We have since been re-engaged for another 3-year engagement for 2026 through 2028. This was a financial statement audit. The objectives of a financial statement audit are to form an opinion on the fairness and material accuracy of the financial statements. This was not a forensic audit. Had it been a forensic audit, our scope would have been significantly different. You should have in front of you a couple documents. One would be the actual financial statements themselves, and then another should be what we call a required communications letter. It's about 3 pages long. I'm just going to touch upon a couple aspects of this required communications letter. Management, which includes all the folks in this room, are responsible for the selection and use of appropriate accounting policies. Accounting estimates are an integral part to the financial statements prepared by management and are based on management's knowledge and experience about past and current events and assumptions about future events. The most sensitive estimates affecting the town's financial statements pertain to the calculation of the pension liability, which is actuarially determined at the county retirement level, the OPEB liability, which is also actuarially determined, however, that's done on the town of Hopkinton itself, as well as management's estimate of the allowance for doubtful accounts, which was based on historical revenues, historical loss levels, and an analysis of the collectability of individual funds, individual accounts. The financial statements disclosures surrounding those 3 estimates are quite extensive within the financial statements themselves. I'm happy to say that we did not encounter any significant difficulties in dealing with management and performing and completing our audit. We did not have any disagreements with management in any financial accounting, reporting, or other auditing matter. And like I said, the rest of this document you can read on your own. So the town's financial statements were actually issued on December 31st of 2025, last possible day of the year, calendar year, with an unmodified or clean audit opinion. We did not have any internal control matters that would have arose to being what we call a deficiency in internal control that would have had to been communicated to you folks. The financial statements themselves consist of several parts. The first is the actual audit opinion, which once again is a clean or unmodified opinion. It's then followed by the management's discussion and analysis. The MD&A is an attempt to discuss what happened during the year in plain English, or at least make the best attempt at trying to do that in plain English. It's then followed up by what's called the governmental funds financial statements. That presents the town as if it was a private concern, similar to, say, EMC. It's on full accrual basis, so this is where we recognize all your receivables. We put your debt on the books, your long-term liabilities, as well as any long-term receivables, removing all the quote-unquote deferred revenues that are recorded as part of a modified accrual basis. The next section, the fund financial statements, which are on a modified accrual basis, and those most closely resemble your internal accounting records that you maintain on UMass, which is what you actually run your operations off of. There's proprietary financial statements for your sewer, water, and solid waste. Those are also on full accrual basis. We have a fiduciary funds financial statements for your OPEB trust and your private purpose trusts. You have some scholarships that are in that category. You have the notes to the financial statements themselves, which again are quite extensive. And then we have what we refer to as required supplementary information, primarily on your pension funding, your OPEB funding, and a budget to actual on your general fund. In terms of budgetary flexibility, a common measure used by rating agencies, including S&P, which is your rating agency, is to evaluate a community's assigned and unassigned fund balances as a ratio of its normal general fund expenditures. This is referred to as a reserve ratio. The town of Hopkinton's 2025 reserve ratio was approximately 35%, which was an improvement on the prior year's 31%. S&P considers that to be quite strong. 15% was kind of the benchmark several years ago. They've essentially upped that to about 18%, so you do have quite a significant cushion in that area. In fact, S&P continues to rate your long-term debt as AAA. So the town has entered fiscal '26, for which today we're exactly 90% of the way through fiscal '26, with a number of significant reserves. You had certified free cash of $16.2 million, and you had general and specialized stabilization funds of approximately 6.3. So a combination of two is about $22.5 million. In terms of the budget to actual performance itself, on a statutory basis, the town's fiscal tte25 revenues and other financing sources exceeded its expenditures by nearly $8.5 million. The town carried over $1.2 million into fiscal '26 in the form of articles and encumbrances. Actual statutory-based revenues exceeded budget by nearly $2.4 million, and you can see that table on page 59. While expenditures and carried over articles were nearly $6.1 million lower than budget. The town issued approximately $9.4 million in general obligation bonds, and that's inclusive of any bond premiums in fiscal '25. Debt service as a percentage of your general fund was about 6.1%, which is slightly lower than last year of 6.7%. And going back from memory, I believe it's significantly lower than fiscal '23. The town had $81 million in temporary debt in the form of a bond anticipation note, or BAN, outstanding at the end of the year. That BAN had a stated interest rate of 4% and scheduled to mature on June 10th. The audited financial statements themselves include debt service tables, which show you 26 through 30 expected principal and interest payments, and then in 5-year increments thereafter. You can find that on page 42, give you an idea as to what you'll be expecting in the future. Although I do understand you have a pretty sizable issuance coming up any day now. In addition to the long-term debt, the town, just like all of its other peers, face significant future obligations in terms of personnel costs, primarily pension and OPEB. The town is a member of the Middlesex County Retirement System, and therefore it really doesn't have any real control over the management of its pensions, save the establishment of a pension reserve fund, which is essentially like a stabilization fund that you might put money in to assist in the event that there are unusual or unruly increases over the years. But based on the most recent actuarial valuation, Middlesex County was about 59% funded. They use a 7.15% discount rate, and that's, in terms of regional systems, that's slightly lower than the state average. I believe the state average is about 7.25, so it's a little bit more conservative. Barring any material changes to any actuarial assumptions, which is possible, we would expect that this funding ratio would come up this year. As calendar '25, S&P returned approximately 18%, and the PRIP investment fund, which many of the pension systems are invested in, came in roughly around 12%. So that's significantly higher than the 7.15% discount rate or target rate of return. The town has an OPEB plan that's nearly 18% funded at June 30th of 2025. That kind of puts you kind of right in the median of other communities about your size. You've accumulated roughly $7.9 million as of June 30th of 2025 for this future obligation that your independent actuary estimates the total liability being about $44.5 million. Want to continue reminding this board and management about the importance of network security, taking that very serious. I can't tell you how many times I walk into a client and they tell me that they've been victimized by ransomware and whatnot. We've talked to the treasurer's office when it comes
I'm so sorry to
phishing
interrupt.
scams, because that's the department that's going to get hit.
I think we have a question from the board.
Sorry, I'm so sorry to interrupt. I'm having a really hard time consistently hearing the gentleman. I don't know if you wouldn't mind pulling the microphone a little more firmly in front of him. I'm getting it in and out as his head moves, and I really want to follow along.
Okay, thank you, Matt.
Would this work a little bit better? Okay.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, I'm pretty much done. I'm sorry. So like I said, we did spend some time with the treasurer's office just to discuss. These are common, typical phishing scams. Just be aware of it. This is a town of the size where if somebody's making a request via email to change any method of payment, it's a small enough community where, particularly payroll, they should probably come in person to make those changes. And when there's a change in vendors asking, please change from pay me by check to a direct deposit or a wire, some investigation should happen on that just to prevent you to be victimized by a phishing scam. Finally, I'm happy to report that the finance team provided us with very good quality reports and accounting schedules, which greatly facilitated the completion of this year's audit. And that, folks, concludes the formal part of my presentation.
Thank you. Great to hear. The outcome was very positive, and your comments are positive. But we'll open it up for questions and comments with my colleagues. I'll start with Mr. Kisner.
Thank you, sir. I really appreciate the depth of this. There are a couple things I wanted to quickly ask you about. I noted one of your recommendations centered around a revolving school fund, which I'm sure you know in Massachusetts is not necessarily under our jurisdiction. I wanted to understand from your perspective how you might have seen in other towns the communication across the schools, or how you might have seen this approached.
I think I may have missed the beginning of that question. I'm sorry. Would you repeat that?
Yeah, I'm sorry. As I was looking through the audit report, one of the items that I believed I had noted was about an excess value in a school revolving fund.
Okay, that's the school lunch program. This is something that we've put in all of our reports. There are, under Massachusetts general law and UMass, Uniform Massachusetts Accounting Standards, there are two fund balances that that need to be taken care of. The first of which is your school choice that cannot exceed 1 year's expenditure. So if you normally expend $1 million at the end of the year, you can't have more than $1 million in there. You can only have essentially 1 year of reserve. The second one, and this is a federal requirement, is that the school lunch program can only have a reserve of 3 months. And I do believe that yours exceeds the 3 months because you had $1.9 million in that fund, and that's roughly a 1 year reserve. This is not atypical. We've seen this in virtually every single community. This is the school system needs to just develop a plan as to how they're going to spend that down. After COVID, there was a significant influx of money into the school lunches. Like I said, I'm seeing this virtually everywhere. For the most part, 3-4 months. If it was 5 months, I probably wouldn't even make the comment. But you folks were nearly a year out. Yep. So they just need to develop a plan as to how they're going to spend that down. I'm sure they have capital needs. You're building other schools. Maybe they can use some of those funds as part of that, as long as it's for the school lunch program. But
now I can tell you work in finance. You're spending my money while we're talking. I appreciate the answer there. Part of why I was asking the question is schools are outside of our remit here, as you're aware, in the state of Massachusetts. So I'm a little leery of the notion that we're ultimately receiving an audit which has an observation of non-compliance that we're not directly in a position to immediately remediate. So I'm trying to get perspective from you about how you have seen this non-compliance handled and how you have passed this information between the executive functions in other towns, or is this as far as it goes?
Again, we provide this recommendation to the town. The school is a department of the town. Hopefully this makes its way through to the school.
Okay, thank you. My only other question for you, and I apologize to ask it so generally because there was an awful lot of good detail in here that I hope it's clear I was reading through. Could you just give us what you might consider the executive summary from a good, bad, ugly, our short, mid, long-term financial health? And I'm not asking for details here. I'm asking for, you are an expert, and I'd really just like a concise, plain language, looks good, looks bad, doesn't look great, so that people get the benefit of hearing that from you as an independent authority.
I think I got that question. The biggest concern I have is the rising amount of debt. And I think even S&P noted that in their report, that might be a potential for a downgrade. But there is, since coming out here 9 years ago, the debt level is starting to get pretty significant.
You heard him say it, not me, folks. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. We'll go to Brian.
I have no questions at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Mr. Clark?
So first of all, thank you. Always very thorough. More just to call out for kind of the residents, no material changes that you noticed, right, as part of the
No material weaknesses, yes.
weaknesses, thank you. And as far as,
Plenty of material changes.
sorry, I meant weaknesses. As far as your recommendation, network security, how common of a threat is that in other municipalities? Are you seeing that in majority? Is it just starting? Has it been going on for years?
This has been going on for quite some time. Municipalities are not immune to this. In fact, I would probably take a guess that they're probably easier targets because you have significant number of people in different departments working in different locations, and how do you communicate appropriately or do the right training on this matter, particularly phishing scams or ransomwares. I mean, to be frank, I've actually clicked the wrong button on more than one occasion because sometimes it looks so darn real. Fortunately, we have very, very good security systems. But yeah, we see that everywhere. Very large communities, very small communities. So it's pervasive throughout the industry.
And you recommended a few what I would call like kind of process changes to kind of help with that, but is there anything, have you given any additional recommendations to your clients around this? You know,
Training.
consultants or vendors to work with, just training?
Training is a key. Do you folks use the Know Before system?
I believe we do.
Okay, that's an excellent start. It really is.
I'm good, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. DeBush?
Yeah, I just wanted to note too, I don't have any big questions, but it looks like this report is already available on the town website for anybody who wants to, it's a long report, and people might want to look at the numbers and details themselves. And then to echo what Mr. Clark was saying, the network security, that it really is a serious problem. I've gone to some workshops on that, and a lot of towns do get hacked, like they get a wire transfer request and they don't triple check it, and then they send their money somewhere else and you can't get it back. So I guess, just for a future note for the town manager, if we could fund more cybersecurity training, I think we would like to hear about that in the budget time if we're not doing enough. Like you said, the Know Before training, there's Proofpoint, there's other companies you can use to, to secure, because it's the people that, when you're hacked, it's usually a person made a mistake, it's not the computer's fault usually.
There's an old saying, a chain is only as strong as its weakest link.
Right.
Anything else?
That's it.
Thank you. Thank you again for all the thorough work, and thanks to our finance department also for their wonderful work, because of which the audit came out to be really good, I assume. So my question is, for the OPEB, the discount rate that you mentioned, the return being 12% is more for recent years, but the discount rate is over average over time. So do you see that still being an issue, or you expect that to be readjusted given, the recent years returns being high? Just a technical.
Are we talking about the pension system?
OPEB, for OPEB calculation, you mentioned the discount rate was lower than the average returns.
Oh, that was actually the pension system. The OPEB, the way the actuarial tables work, or the way the standard works, being that you're only funded, bear with me again, 18%, the actuaries will calculate a blended discount rate for you. So there's going to be a crossover period. At some point in time, you have $6.9 million. At some point in time, that money's going to dry out. So you get to use the discount rate, the expected investment rate, until your money winds down. And then at that point in time, you end up using a risk-free discount rate until theoretically the last employee passes away. And that's what the actuaries do. So until you get to a much higher ratio of funding, you're probably going to have a blended discount rate, what they call a single equivalent discount rate.
Thank you. Where I was going is, given all that, do you feel we are at par with the median or average other towns in terms of our OPEB funding and where we are, 18%?
You look like you're right in the sweet spot of where your peers are.
Okay.
I have a very large city that is 0.19% funded. I have other communities that are 60% funded. It all depends on the size of the community, budgetary constraints. But you folks are probably right in the wheelhouse. Your actuary can probably give you an exact metric as to where you stand within the rest of the state, because I believe your actuary does roughly 35 to 40% of the state. It's a pretty good representative sample.
Thank you. That's great to hear. Now, the last question is, it's great that we don't have any significant deficiency, and our controls are pretty robust. Would you recommend any additional control going forward, or anything for process improvement perspective other than the security measures?
Off the top of my head, I don't have really anything other than perhaps maybe implementing closing checklists to better ensure a smooth close, formal documented policies and procedures to be constantly, not constantly, but consistently upgraded and updated.
Makes sense.
And both of those are very low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, for sure. No, that shows the great work the department has been doing, and thank you again for the thorough analysis and audit. I appreciate the update as well. Is there any other question, comments from anyone?
I was just going to add about this, the excessive school lunch balance. It's not our purview, but the town staff will work with the school staff about spending some of that down. Then maybe there's some capital projects for the cafeterias that they could work on.
Yeah, we'll forward this along and have that conversation.
Okay.
That's a great way of spending the money down. They always want to have new equipment, but you got the funding.
Okay. Yep.
Anything else, anyone? Well, thank you for coming, and thanks for the update.
Sorry.
We'll move to our next agenda item, which is appointment of new police officer.
People are pointing at someone.
Oh. Thank you. Sorry, Mr. Kisner, you had something?
Yes, I'm sorry. I just very quickly wanted to recognize and celebrate town finance staff. I appreciate that a consistent theme in that report was their professionalism and the excellence of the information they were providing. Should not go unstated. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Sorry, did I miss something?
No, he was just
I think that was it. We couldn't out hear
financial
him.
departments for another year of getting the reports in order, all the work that goes into it, and just the continued great job that they do.
You have a sharp ear. Yes.
Joshua Stevens, 4 Hopkins Road. I've been affected by the town water.
I'm sorry, we have closed the public forum.
What? I thought you said I could speak.
Oh, no. I was asking my colleagues. I'm sorry. We'll have the public forum again towards the end of the meeting, once we go through our agenda. But thank you for staying around.
And people can always email us if they have more to say or they can't stay. We read all our emails.
Thank you, Amy. We'll move to next agenda item, appointment of new police officer. The select board will consider appointing Victoria Fulegar as a police officer, lateral transfer.
I think Deputy Chief Van Routen is on the Zoom. Oh, yeah.
And police chief is here. Chief, take it away.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Also, he's going to give you a chair.
Oh, pull up another.
Let's get the chair. Operations Lieutenant. He's going to do that stuff, facilitating stuff. Through the chair, good evening. Very happy to be here again with another really strong candidate for your consideration. Victoria, likes to be called Tori Fulegar, is the final candidate out of a long process. And as I've said repeatedly, it takes a lot of work, a lot of hours to get someone here. This one was especially complex because not only did we go through the entire interview and selection process, reviewing resumes, interviewing second-round interviews, background checks, physicals, drug tests, psychologicals. Because she's coming from the federal government, she had to also undergo kind of a reverse order. And I wanted to just thank Lieutenant O'Neill, because a lot of things that we would do once she comes in, we were forced to do ahead of time to get her accepted within the Municipal Police Training Council and within post. And she sits here certified with all of her certifications. She's been through 2 federal academies, and I think you're going to be very pleased when you speak with her.
Thank you, Chief. Ms. Fullagar, you want to say something?
Hi, my name is Victoria Fulliger. As the chief stated, I come from the federal government. I have about 4 years of experience there, and I really look forward to working with Hopkinton and getting to learn, more about all the residents and building a relationship with all of them.
Thank you. Thank you for stepping forward, and you have a wonderful background. I'll open it up to my colleagues if you have any questions or comments, starting with Mr. Dabush.
Yeah, thank you for coming today, and all the information is in our packet. I guess I do always like to ask a question if it's all right, but can you give us something from your experience from working in DC that you'll be able to carry forward to working in Hopkinton?
So working in DC, I met with probably thousands of different people every single day from all different backgrounds, all different races, ethnicities, and that really helped me with my communication and being able to work with different people who may not be from my culture, but I learned how to deal with them in their culture, and not everybody likes being looked in the eyes, so it's important to recognize that people are different and they all need to be treated the same equally, but handled differently when you speak with them.
Thank you very much. I don't have any other questions.
I mean, your resume to me kind of speaks for itself, where you are in your career. I think you'll be a great asset to the town. Glad to hear you don't have to go to another academy. That's a great thing for everyone. So, welcome to the town.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Mr. Hare?
No question. Welcome to Hopkinton. Thank you for joining the team.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hare. And Mr. Kisner?
The chief was right. I was going to be happy when you talked. That was some very impressive communication, and I appreciated the thoughtful analysis of you viewing each person uniquely and how you saw that as a translation to the community. I really wanted to hear you talk about how you were going to bring those skills to the town. You did so in a very impressive way, very quickly. Welcome to the town. We're excited you're here.
Thank you.
Thank you again. I have no further question, and welcome, and we are really happy to have you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I look forward to working with you all.
Thank you. With that, I'll look for a motion.
I move to appoint Victoria Fulger as a police officer in the Hopkinton Police Department.
Second.
Second.
Any further discussion? We'll go roll call vote. Mr. Dabush?
Amy Rodabush, yes?
Joe Clark, yes.
Mr. Hare? Mr. Hare? We'll go to Mr. Kisner and come back.
Matt Kisner, yes.
Thank you. Mr. Hare, are you with us?
Yes, sorry. Brian Herr, yes.
And Shahidul Manan, yes. Congratulations.
Thank you.
We're talking on Zoom, I promise.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are we going to take pictures?
I don't know. Are we going to do a group picture?
Yeah. That'd be good. All right.
I can take 2. Chief, you want one on your phone, or you good? One more. All right. So. You're gonna have to hide your camera.
Security turn. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Our next agenda item is tax abatement requests. The Select Board will consider requesting that the Board of Assessors abate outstanding real estate taxes for the following parcels that were conveyed to the town. Parcel R385 Honeybee Pass, $32.69 FY 2024. Parcel R314.5 Lincoln Street, $34.58 FY 2024. Parcel R3-1350 Wyland Road, $104.35 FY 2024. And the following parcel which no longer exists in the database, and the land became part of the Legacy Farms development. Parcel R14-9-0 Clinton Street, $7,644.58 FY 2010.
We have to do it in two separate motions.
Okay. Is there any discussions? We can go around. Mr. DeBusch?
I don't think I really have any questions. These are things that I'll pass to town meeting, and we've followed all the steps, so now we can, so we don't want to be paying real estate taxes to ourselves because we now own these pieces of land, right? That's, okay.
Thank you. Mr. Clark?
Nope, Amy summed it up. Good to go.
Mr. Hare, online?
Does the town manager suggest that we go forward?
Yes, I recommend that the board request abatement of the taxes.
Thank you. Anything else, Mr. Hare?
No, all set.
And Mr. Kisner?
Can we just confirm there's a property on here that we said is no longer on the books? Has this property formally been removed from other town databases, or will that be done as part of this?
So I believe this is a case where it's no longer a separate parcel, but it's included in another parcel. So, yes, I'm seeing the nodding of head that yes, that's the case, that this is actually being taxed as another parcel, so it's being taxed twice.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm all set.
Thank you. I have no further questions. So I'll entertain a motion to, on the tax abatement request. I think there are two motions.
Yep. I move that the Select Board request that the Board of Assessors abate the outstanding real estate taxes on these properties under the provision of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 59, Section 72A, Honeybee Pass, parcel R385, Lincoln Street, parcel R3-14-5, and Wayland Road, parcel R3-1350.
Second.
Any other discussion? We'll go to roll call vote. Mr. Hare?
Brian Hurd, yes.
Mr. Kisner?
Matt Kisner, yes.
Mr. Clark?
Joe Clark, yes.
Amy
Yes.
Bush, yes.
Shahidul Manan, yes.
Just a quick thanks to John Neese, Principal Assessor, and CJ Kett, Treasurer, for bringing this forward.
Thank you. Yep.
I move that the Select Board request that the Board of Assessors abate the outstanding real estate taxes on these properties under the provisions of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 59, Section 72A, Clinton Street, parcel R1490.
Second.
Any further discussions? Roll call vote. Mr. DeBusch?
Amy Bush, yes.
Joe Clark, yes.
Mr. Hare?
Brian Hurd, yes.
Mr. Kisner?
Matt Kisner, yes.
And Shahidul Manan, yes.
Just a question on that second one that is part of another parcel now. That won't come before us again, right? This will take care of that?
That's correct.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you again, CJ and the assessors team. We'll move to the next agenda item, order of, which is Common Victualier License Policy. The Select Board will consider reviewing and approving a Common Victualier License Policy. Elaine, do you want to give us an update first? And then I think we have our town council today with us, so we can discuss the victuallier policy that we have been looking for updates and kind of refreshing the process.
Yes, through the chair, thank you. So the board reviewed it at its last meeting, and there were some additional questions for town council and other things you may want to consider. So town council is here this evening to discuss the policy and answer questions.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. Do you want to give an kind of overview from your end, and how do you see it?
Sure. I'm more riding shotgun tonight, so Kayla's put in more of the laboring ore here, so I'll let her give an overview.
Hi, everyone. Kayla Vinchkowskis. I work as an attorney at Mead, Tellerman and Costa, Service Town Council. So I was asked, do you want me to just jump in? So we were asked to answer a few questions related to the quarry process for common vic licensees. And so I wanted to give just a general sort of overview, and then I'm happy to answer questions from the board. First of all, it's important to note that for common vic licensees, the town has standard level access for quarry. And what that means is there's certain information the town can and cannot see. And so for standard level access, here's what a quarry will return. If the offense is a murder, manslaughter, or sex offense, and the disposition is a conviction. If the offense is a misdemeanor, the disposition is a conviction, and the disposition date or incarceration release date is less than 5 years prior to the quarry request date, the system must return the offense and all other convicted offenses. And if the offense is a felony, the disposition is a conviction, and the disposition date or incarceration release date occurred less than 10 years prior to the quarry request date, the system will return that offense and all other convicted offenses, and it will also return pending offenses. So the town's access is limited to crimes in Massachusetts. And as noted, that's for misdemeanors 5 years and felonies 10 years. And there are a few specific questions. So if someone took a plea deal, what the town will see is the lesser offense. And so because that is what they were convicted of. It will not show if someone was arrested if no charges were filed. It will not show if someone's been accused but not arrested. And it will not show if someone is the subject of an active police or DA investigation. Okay. And then I'm going to jump to... whether or not the town, so there was a question regarding the town meeting did not approve a civil fingerprinting bylaw, and what that practically means for the town is that the town does not have the ability to do civil fingerprinting for common vic license applicants. There is no other legal mechanism to do so. The only way to do a nationwide quarry check is through fingerprinting. And then questions on what the police may share with you. Generally, the police department cannot share criminal justice information which is not publicly available or which would not come through on a permissible background check. If they have legitimate and articulable concerns related to the business operations or the applicant's suitability to run a common vic business, they may bring those to the board, and the board may consider those, but the board will need to articulate why and how whatever's been brought to them has been lawfully brought to them and how this makes an applicant unsuitable to hold a common vic license. And then, sex offender registry checks. The town has the same access as the general public, which is access to level 2 and level 3 sex offender information. Level 1 sex offender information is unavailable. And this will be limited to the registrant's current status. So if they were previously registered as a sex offender, that will not come up in the sex offender registry check. It may be otherwise publicly available, but in terms of that check, it won't show. And then questions surrounding the board's authority to deny a license, an applicant's license based on what might come up in a quarry check. So a licensing authority generally cannot use a person's criminal record or sex offender registration as an automatic reason to deny a license. They may use query or SORI information as part of an individualized evaluation of whether the applicant is suitable for the specific license or activity involved. So this means you consider you may consider whether the offense is directly related to the licensed activity. You can evaluate the risks to public safety or vulnerable populations, look at the seriousness and age of the offense, and consider evidence of rehabilitation. And before making any adverse licensing decision based on a query, the board generally must provide the applicant with a copy of their criminal history information and disclose the source. And then lastly, conditions the board may impose on a licensee. So the board, of course, has the ability to impose reasonable conditions related to a license, and these must be related to the actual business operations and tied to public health, safety, or welfare. But the extent to whether conditions may be considered reasonable will depend on an analysis of the applicant and the business. Generally, the board is granted broad authority to impose conditions because of the broad discretion granted to deny common victualler licenses. However, the board may be restricted from imposing conditions that are so restrictive that the resulting license may be considered a different class of license. This is based on case law. And I'm sorry, can you hear me? Okay. What I would add is that conditions may be susceptible to challenge if they are overly broad or arbitrary, if they conflict with state anti-discrimination laws or are unrelated to the operation of the establishment. If you genuinely feel that a licensee poses a significant risk of harm to the public or its employees, then that would likely constitute sufficient grounds for denial. However, the board could also consider imposing a condition that does not necessarily restrict them from doing something, but instead grants the board authority to initiate suspension or revocation proceedings to the extent there is any impropriety with respect to licensees and the public or their employees. And I would just want to reiterate that if there are concerns giving rise to a concern over, someone's proximity to minors or the general public, denial is probably the better path here, especially because enforcement of these conditions may be difficult. And I'm happy to answer any additional questions.
Thank you. We will take questions. I'll start with Mr. Clark.
Awesome. Thank you. That was extremely thorough, and I'd be lying if I said I actually remembered or wrote down everything. So, I'd like to make a recommendation. Could you send that to us so we could kind of take it in, actually document it, have a chance to go through it thoroughly? I think as we've seen, there's a real need to get this right, and obviously whatever we decide in the next month or so doesn't have to be the final version of it, right? It can be a dynamic thing as we go on, and things evolve and stuff. So, we continue to hear feedback. We've been given other recommendations. I received an email, within the hour before the meeting tonight. Obviously, I couldn't, take that into account, but I'd like to get council to review those recommendations as well, and come back, because this was really helpful. But combine those things, and I think that last piece of it was, really recommendations on how do we enforce this going forward, right? Because it's great to have the policy. We've gotten a lot of feedback on that, and we've heard it. So this is that next step for me, if we can kind of do this. I know this is, this has taken a long time to kind of get here, and so I feel like it's important to kind of go that little bit further and really capture as much as possible. Is that fair?
Yeah, happy to reduce to writing and happy to consider more additional questions and how we implement that into the policy.
Perfect.
Joe, too, it's important to note that I think the work that Kayla's done here and that we've done in looking at your existing policies is kind of twofold. One, we wanted to work on some stuff organizationally. Yep. Your policies, in a way, had conflated the procedures and policies that we would have under other licenses, including the timing issues. Yep. Kayla's fixed a lot of that in the draft. That's all the rote stuff, the black and white stuff. This is all kind of next level discretionary authority that we're trying to convey and give you the tools you need.
Yep. Yeah, nope, and that's a great point. And I think, I think we talked about this at one of the previous meetings, with the draft, we can always move forward with something as is, right, to get it in place, but then continue the conversation as well. So to the fellow board members, I'm open to like both those options. That's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. And I think we can make those other recommendations and information available if you don't have them already, so you can consider further. So with that, I'll move to Mr. Hare.
Thank you very much for that overview. Some of the concepts and points you made ring bells with me from involvement over the years about what could and could not be done. I would be interested in hearing, as Mr. Clark mentioned, what your thoughts are on some of the feedback we've received of late. I don't know if all that can be incorporated or not, but I think we should at least take a look at it. And then I'm assuming that all this is going to get worked into the final draft that we think we should then vote on at some point in the near future. Is that correct?
I think so, and I'll let Kayla speak more to it, but there's some of this stuff in the case law and how far you can go that we probably wouldn't, that we would more frame those questions that you could raise. I don't think in the policy itself we're going to lay out how far you can go or what the amount of conditions you can have, but we'll set you up for success in that regard by making sure that the policy addresses the procedural elements that allow you to implement all of the leeway that Kayla's described here.
Great. That makes sense. Thank you. I'm all set for now.
Thank you, Mr. Hare. Mr. Kisner?
Thank you. Highly educational for me as well. I'll echo Mr. Clark and Mr. Herr. I'm looking forward to getting to digest this and hear a little bit more. I appreciate that you got to hopefully hear some of the public forum comments. I'm really struggling in this space because there is a discretionary aspect to much of what we do on this board. And my job in quality tells me that the more I write it down and the more prescriptive I make it, the more likely it is to cause me trouble. So I very much like the idea of where you were going in terms of giving us more decision-based principles to help guide what we should do when, and to make it clear that that is a requirement, but not necessarily what the enforcement action is. I think a lot of what we're hearing can hopefully be addressed by making it clear that certain violations or certain exceptions always come to the board, always require a review. And then we use the public forum and the public space to make sure that we continue to make decisions in the vested interest and in alignment with the town. So thank you for the continued partnership here. I like that we are taking the time to get this right, but I am very much of a mind to have it in place before we begin any discussions on Vic again this year.
Thank you, Mr. Kisner. And Mr. DeBush?
Yeah, there was a lot of information. I appreciate you putting it together, but it's a lot of information to absorb when it's just verbal too. I'm profoundly deaf in one ear. It makes it even harder to process sound. So anyway, so I'm probably go read this at home. And then I think I had a couple questions that I'm not sure that you answered here, but are there restrictions on where sex offenders can work in Massachusetts, such as can they work in common victual licensed businesses like restaurants?
Sure. So that's a good question. And those are individualized. So it will be based on the sex offender registry board's determination on an individual. So for level 1 offenders, there's likely going to be no prohibitions. For level 2 and 3, it's going to be specific to the individual, the crime, where they're located, things of that nature. There's no blanket exclusion for them from working in certain industries. I would say that they're typically more limited to places like, childcare, healthcare, law enforcement, security, anywhere where they might have, close one-to-one access to vulnerable populations.
Okay. So I think the other side, I'm not quite ready to vote on this tonight because it's a lot of information to think about. But we can, one other thing, so it does worry me that I know we voted down the civil fingerprinting at town meeting, but we live very close to other states like Rhode Island. So if our quarry would only cover Massachusetts, it sounds like. So if somebody committed a crime just across the border in Rhode Island, we wouldn't have the record of it unless we do the national fingerprinting. So I think we need to think long and hard about that if we might want to bring that back again.
I think, too, it's important to note that as Kayla suggested, there is other publicly available information that you're not barred from considering. We can't use the query process to uncover things perhaps from Rhode Island, but that doesn't mean that there's not publicly available information that you could use. It's not a bar against that. So if there's
That could be an in-between sort of option?
yeah, available police records, even news reports. There are other things you can do, provided that they're reliable and paint the picture that you need to evaluate a person's suitability.
Okay. And then, let's see. But then again, if people have filed police reports against someone, but they're not arrested or charged, that's not going to be something we can find out about, or deny the license for that reason, or depends how serious.
In some contexts, and I'll let Kayla speak to it as well, even if someone's never formally charged or if charges are dismissed, that doesn't mean that they're not useful in the licensing context.
Okay, but it wouldn't be on the quarry. We would have to find it through some other manner.
Right. The only thing you'd see on the quarry as it relates to non-convictions is if the offense is pending. So if they've had an arraignment and charges have moved forward and they're still in the process of going through to trial to see that through. So, but like Jay said, if you have other available avenues of obtaining this information, then you can certainly use that information to the extent that it sheds light on the suitability of an applicant.
Okay. And then, let's see. Just trying to go through my questions to make sure I got all the answers here. And do we have the authority to require the private business to quarry check all their employees? I know some businesses just do that and some don't, but can we require that in our common victual licensing policy?
So that would come down to sort of a condition about whether or not that's a condition that you can impose on a licensee. And every license applicant is going to be an individualized review, but I would suggest that if you're considering something like that, it should be across the board for all common vic applicants, and that still may be susceptible to a legal challenge if somebody was to bring one. They certainly have the right to request standard access level quarries on their own employees, but in terms of the town's ability to require them to do so, that is unchallenged. So, possibly, but.
Okay, but it's unknown. Okay.
Did you want to add anything?
No, I think that sums it up. We're not sure about that. So I think that, again, we would look at if it was kind of content neutral and we were institutionalizing that across the board, that might be a policy to work on. But we haven't uncovered any case law or guidance documents that talk about whether that as a standalone condition would fit the particular facts, because with each application, we're considering the particular facts.
Okay. All right. So I think we might want to think about that a little further, like if we would want to oppose that. I know you're saying it's not tested, like on businesses that employ minors, for example, maybe different, but okay. I think that's all my questions for now, and I'll re-listen to what you said, and I'll think about it for the next time.
Okay. Thank you. That was very thorough and insightful, and we'll process more as we hear from or have the written version of it. I have a couple of quick questions. One is, across Massachusetts, do you know of any other best practice in terms of background check across any other towns, Victoria process, that we could look at and improve further?
I mean, there's not really any sort of standard practice. I think the standard level quarry access is what most towns require of common vic applicants. I don't believe there are many, if any, that do require fingerprinting level for that business type alone, or even for that business type. It's not a very common one. So, I think I did pull a few, so I just want to, in a couple of towns that do have them, They are more related to businesses such as hawkers and peddlers, canvassers, solicitors, fortune tellers. These are businesses that have a sort of one-to-one relationship with their clientele. So I have a feeling that that is why these types of fingerprinting bylaws get passed and approved. But I in a quick search did not see any for common victual licensees.
Yeah, and there was a recent statute a couple of years ago with ice cream trucks where there's a heightened level of scrutiny too. I think circumstances find us here where we're scrutinizing this at a kind of a more granular level. I've been representing cities and towns for 30 years, and the common vic license process doesn't often get this kind of scrutiny. I think it's great that we're doing that. But in more towns, it's much more routine. Even if they have a process for collecting a quarry, it just becomes routine. Here, I think we're in the process of switching gears and getting our process and our policies up to where the town of Hopkinton needs them. So we're providing much more scrutiny than we would normally see, which I think is a great thing. I would hope that we might become a model for what other towns may want to see.
Thank you. That's very helpful. And if you can give us some of those examples, we'll also process that. And second question is, in your observation and experience, what is the police participation in the VIC license review process? Is there a norm across these towns?
I mean, it is sometimes, and I want to put this in the right context. I think it can be a little bit more perfunctory at times, whereby these applications will go across the desk of the police department, the chief, or whoever handles that at the department, and they'll come back with either just a clean comment or a comment that there's something to look at. In terms of formalizing it, in terms of a process, I haven't seen that as much, but I certainly see it as routine that we'll at least hear or get a note or a letter from the police chief or the police department with not only common vic licenses, but we see this with liquor licenses, we see this with class 2 licenses, whereby if you have a police chief that's actively involved in all of these licensing affairs, because there's some impact, then they'll be involved on some level. Here we're trying to standardize it a little bit, so I don't often see it as being written down on paper and standardized. It's just normally a normal routing of a particular application that comes back with a police chief comment.
I see, but no standard process in your...
No, there's nothing standard that I see out there. More frequently, it's just because they're involved, because they get a copy of it, and then they routinely give their, do whatever research or review that they're going to do and send it back.
Thank you. And how much of the formal background check results versus informal complaint, not informal, but unsubstantiated complaints or police at the police station and others are permissible for decision-making on VIC licensing?
I mean, I think one way to view that is that it's evidence. So you are in a position to issue a license that puts you in a quasi-adjudicatory kind of role where you're collecting information, and you're allowed to consider the facts that are before you. So even if it doesn't emanate from a quarry, if it's reliable information and it's reasonable to consider it and it forms the basis of a decision, the test of whether or not that decision was sound is again going to be somewhat deferential to your judgment. The cases suggest that. But we should be sure, especially if it's not quarry information and it's a third-party account and hearsay related, we might want to be more careful. If it's the basis, if it's on a police report or it's anything that's corroborated, then I'd feel more comfortable with it. It's very much a case-by-case process.
Thank you. A follow-up, but how do you see the towns formalizing that? Because that can go very deep and unsubstantiated or, hearsay and some important information too. But we're talking about 200, 300 business every year and then going through this process. Practically, what is in practice and what is the best practice in your view?
So in my experience, I see less of that use of that kind of evidence in this kind of inquiry in and around the common vic process. I see more of that around liquor licensing itself, around LTC issues, Class 2 issues, things like that, where we see this more routinely looking at this kind of information that is coming to us from less formal sources. And that's only because we just don't have the body of litigation in and around common vic matters that we do under those other licenses, which are more frequently litigated and challenged. Not because it doesn't exist, but we're more routinely involved in disputes over those other kinds of licenses.
Thank you. That's very insightful. And finally, again, we'll process and probably get back to some of the other specifics. I echo with Amy that when we first started looking at it, I brought up the fingerprinting issue or fingerprinting option, and it didn't pass on the board and didn't pass in the town meeting either, as you know. But how much of it is in practice for Common Vic, and how much, if there is any other workaround for that to get to the national level or beyond the borders, as Amy was also suggesting?
So the fingerprinting bylaw is the only way to get a national quarry. So the town would have to attempt again to pass a bylaw that allows them to do fingerprinting, and it would be for whatever license types were established were outlined in the bylaw. So it would be common vics, and if you chose to include any others, there's no other mechanism to obtain national quarry information that's that's the legal mechanism to obtain quarry information, because the bylaw would be approved by both the Attorney General and then would be reviewed by the FBI, and the FBI in the end is the one who signs off on the ability to do fingerprinting for a specific industry.
Oh, I'm sorry, so even if there is a process for fingerprinting, it has to go through all of those?
So when you pass the bylaw, so the step one is to create and pass a bylaw. The Attorney General's office would review the bylaw, and then the bylaw would also be reviewed by the FBI.
I see.
Because they're the ones who are going to produce the fingerprinting check, so they have authority over whether or not it's appropriate for that industry.
Thank you. And I think it came out from my colleagues. Is that permissible based on the privacy laws and based on the, citizens' rights for protecting their information?
Yeah, so that's why the fingerprinting bylaw is the only way to get that information, is for exactly what you mentioned, for protection of people's private information.
Thank you.
But can I just follow on to that? You did say that we could use other publicly available information, like a Google search, and find their name and a crime they committed at a restaurant in another state. That we just have to do that on our own, I guess. That's not a fingerprint.
Yeah, I mean, that would be publicly available information as opposed to what a national quarry would return, which would be like convictions or convictions in other states and whatever that state's level of quarry access would be. And so, but if you're able to find otherwise publicly available information, and as Jay mentioned, that you could rely on, and that was reliable and or corroborated, you could rely on that, but it's definitely going to be more limited than what you would get in a quarry, should anything come up for a specific applicant.
Right. Okay. I'm not sure how we'd formalize that if we required that the Google search be done. I don't know.
There's no process or formal process for that.
Yeah. Okay, it's something to think about.
Any other question?
Not right now.
Matt, Brian, any other question?
I'm all set.
All right, I think we're good for tonight. We'll review what you sent to us, and we'll continue the conversation.
We'll follow up. Kayla will provide some of the background for her responses to the questions that were posed to us.
That'll be great. Thank you. I appreciate your coming in.
Thank you.
Right.
So I think we will not vote on this today, or we'll need to process the information, and then we have follow-up questions. So we'll put it in the coming agenda to continue the conversation and vote on it. Does it sound good? Yeah.
think Jay's going to stick around for the next one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the safety assessment, yeah.
Yep.
No, town meeting discussion. We've got comments.
Right. Yeah.
Ask Jay to stick around.
So we'll move to our next agenda item, which is 2026 Annual Town Meeting Discussion and Recap. And I see our town clerk and moderator here. Please come on.
And council.
And our council, too.
Mr. Chair.
Brian's trying to say something.
Sorry, Brian, we didn't hear you. Can you repeat?
Yeah, Matt was trying to get your attention, that's all.
He said Matt was trying to say something.
Oh, sorry, Matt, we missed that. Can you repeat?
I think Matt's not on the Zoom anymore.
Yeah, he mentioned he would have to drop for a bit. I'm not sure if he's coming back or not.
Okay.
He's not on the Zoom.
Thank you. I think he's sick and mentioned he wouldn't continue. But thank you. So please take it away. We can start with your view of the town meeting and your comments first. And do you...
You want me to kick this off? Because I kind of...
Oh, you kind of worked on it?
Yeah, I mean, it was a joint thing. I think, where this came from was it was our first Saturday town meeting, right? And obviously, anytime you do something which is a fundamental change, it's, there's going to be bumps in the road, things we learn from. And I thought it was really important, talking to Elaine and everyone here, that while it was still fresh in our minds, that we come back, we regroup, we talk about what we think went well, what we think didn't go well. If there's anything, because to me, like my only goal with town meeting, how can we get more attendance? Like that, to me, it's the single goal that we should have as a board and as town hall, to just get as many people there as possible. And obviously the numbers were not ideal. So it was just to kind of bring this while it was fresh in our minds. I felt like if we waited much later, school would be out and we would lose a lot of attention on this. And then next thing you know, it's special town meeting and we haven't really made any changes. So I think we had the assumption that we're going to have a special town meeting in the fall. So this was really an opportunity to kind of discuss this internally. I also recommended, do we do some type of, public hearing where we could get live feedback? We talked about surveys, anything to just engage the residents and understand what we can do to improve attendance. And that was really kind of the basis for this whole thing, kind of open discussion. And
no, thank you, Joe. I think that makes sense, and the way you put it out, that puts in a good structure to it. I think how we can probably frame it is hear from Connor and our moderator and council, your view of what went well, what can be improved, and we can also address what we have heard, what you have heard from the town residents in terms of where things can be done better, especially in participation. And then we can also rotate around and give our feedback and questions. How does it sound?
I think that sounds perfect. I'm the town clerk, Connor Deegan. I've heard a significant amount of feedback on both positive and negative for how the meeting went. I know that, like you said, Joe, the turnout disappointing, but at the same time, we had more people show up than came last year to actually vote to move it to Saturdays. I don't think we have enough data at this point to really make the final call, but we do have at least one of those data points to start us out on it. I think having the options for food was a great way to be able to provide. I think we saw a mixed amount of participation in it, but that's, again, first time we do anything. People are still figuring out what it is. A few people said they weren't sure what kind of things are going to be offered, so that's part of why they weren't sure what they were going to have to do with that. So maybe kind of, if we have more time, we can put some information out further ahead of time to be more prepared for that. I think one of the big benefits, and this was kind of a cart-horse situation, where if we want to be able to provide something like childcare going forward, then we can't provide that equitably and equally if we're doing it on a weeknight. But we can provide that if we have it on a weekend day where we can have people come in, their kids are not going to, it's not going to be past bedtime and stuff like that for kids on a school night, which is what we run into weekdays in May typically. In the since town meeting, we've had a few organizations, including the local Girl Scout troops, reach out about potentially offering babysitting in future years. And we've already had the Boy Scouts block off their calendar for next year for the day to be able to come and continue to offer food and refreshments to the community as they come to perform their civic duties. I think we need to solicit feedback in general from the public, like you were saying, Joe. I think it's vital that we take this time to see what went well, but we also need to be very conscious of we're never going to be able to set this up in a way as an open town meeting that's going to satisfy everybody. But we also need to be aware that those of us in these positions where we're representing everybody need to be aware that we're stewards of good government as well. We need to be sure that we are taking those who have accessibility challenges and that we are representing them and giving them access. And I just think it's very easy to see that there will be folks who understandably are upset by inconvenience as well, other things that were going on in their lives. But there are people who have said to me since that they would have not been able to attend because of other issues, like not being able to get a ride on a weeknight or something like that, not being able to stay the whole meeting, not being able to have both parents attend because one of the kids was going to be, past their bedtime. They were going to be in bed, so only one parent could go. I think as we have this, we can spend more time over the next year trying to work towards community organizations planning around it. I think the other piece to keep in mind is this year and last year, we didn't have the same degree of controversial articles, but we kept the time relatively slim, and we were able to get it done in one day, which I think was a big feat, and it saved a lot of money in the long term. The time frame of this meeting would have been a 2-night meeting if it had been a nighttime meeting, because it would have drifted over most likely, and then it would have taken a while to get started back up. Probably somewhere in the last 10 articles, we would have probably had a point where we had to stop for the night. And I really want to give some props as well to Zach on his first annual town meeting. He worked it very well, masterfully even, and kept us moving along in a way that didn't feel rushed. And I want to just take that moment to thank you for first successful Saturday town meeting. And I'll pass the mic over to Zach.
Thank you, Connor.
Hi, Zach Kosan, town moderator. I can echo a lot of what Connor was saying. I think childcare, making that available would do a lot for increasing attendance. I know my son was sitting with my wife and his tablet in the audience, and some other people I know had their kids there with them as well, and I'm sure that it would be easier on everyone if, because I remember we did this for a town meeting, special town meeting for the Charles Wood School, if we could just drop all the kids off at the library and have them watch Bluey and run around rather than try and sit and listen to me try and run a meeting. I do think having it on Saturday, in addition to it not going late into the night, being able to do the entire town meeting in one sitting was very helpful, especially when we don't have controversial items on the warrant. If, as we get towards the end of the warrant, there's a lot of busy work left, it's very, very hard to get a quorum in place for that second night, or if everything goes terribly, the third night of town meeting. Nobody wants to stay out that late once, much less 3 nights. One other thing I've heard from several people is that we do need to do a better job announcing and advertising town meeting. I know there was some issue with the DPW, PD, whoever owns them, big light up road signs that they weren't available, but also one suggestion that I got from the Garden Club, actually, they have signs that they use for their plant sale every year, and they just reuse the same signs every year and slap a new number on it, which would be a cost-effective way of being able to get out the information that town meeting is happening in the first place. I do want to thank all of the residents who came to town meeting, who almost universally respected the time limits and kept their discussions on point and to the point, and town meeting can't run smoothly without everyone's buy-in and everyone's participation. So I think we have some room for improvement, but I think for our first Saturday town meeting, it went quite well.
Thank you, Zach. I appreciate that insights and comments. Mr. Conson.
Sure. I'll offer just a little bit because it was my first annual town meeting for the town too. But as you know, I attend a lot of town meetings and I'm a town meeting moderator myself. I thought that the town meeting went well. I thought that there was good involvement, good participation, good flow. The lead up to it on the staff level, which is all that I was involved in, was really great. I thought there was a lot of involvement where the warrant and the motions touched a lot of hands, and there was a concerted effort to get everything right in terms of those articles. There was problem solving, issue spotting, all of that. I think those are all, touched all the points at which you'd want to for a successful town meeting. I'll add anecdotally that moving from a weekday to a weekend could be preferential for whatever reason. There's no correlation, based on my experience, between attendance and whether you do it on a weekend or a weekday, because there's pluses and minuses to both. Running a good town meeting, getting the word out, maybe having some sexier articles sometimes brings people out more, but I don't see the attendance issue affecting it. I do think if you tend to run a little bit long for one night, a weekend, you can get more done because there's just a bigger block of hours that you can do. But people give up things there. We run town meetings in the spring. Parents are out there with kids doing stuff. So it's that can be difficult, but that can be difficult in the weekdays too. So I thought it went really well. Again, my first meeting with the town, I go to about 30 or 40 town meetings a year, and you guys are well above average in terms of the functioning, the smoothness, the cohesiveness of the staff, the work that Connor and Zach did, I thought was really good too.
Thank you. That's very insightful and interesting perspective as well. And thank you, three of you, for your dedicated work and making it a successful town meeting. Now I'll open it up. Brian, do you have any questions or any other comments that you want to add to it?
I would have two quick observations. One, I don't think that the votes and how they played out would have been any different had it been a Monday, Tuesday, or if it was a Saturday meeting. I think in general, the votes seemed to follow a fairly typical process for Hopkinton. I think the outcomes were pretty consistent for Hopkinton as well. So I don't think the day really impacted that. And I thought, in general, it was extremely well run. I think Zach did a great job in his first year. So kudos to him and Connor for all the work he did too. My other observation is, citizen petition articles rarely work. And this town meeting, I think, clearly highlighted that again. So in the future, if folks really want to get something done, they got to find a champion inside town government and have that entity or that individual with some authority and opportunity to marshal and organize the effort to make something happen. But citizen petitions, while they're lawful, they're very hard to get town meetings to buy into and actually pass. So I would just put that out there as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. That was very insightful. Amy.
I think I'll echo what Brian said. I think it's usually and what the town attorney said, that it's usually often the topics that drive the turnout more so than the day, whether it's an evening or a weekend. But I really appreciate doing the feedback on it. And I know we've been working on a survey to survey the residents like we did about 5 years ago. I think it's gone out, right? Yeah, so we encourage everybody to fill out the town meeting survey. And I've started running the statistics. I get the voter list from the town clerk's office. And I'll present this at a future meeting next time we have it on the agenda. But when we did this same thing in 2022, we had such an influx of new people in town. So 37% of all the voters in town were registered to vote less than 5 years, and I think that's from the buildup of legacy farms and all the new housing. But, and conversely, people who have lived in town less than 5 years are far less likely to come to town meeting. But once you get into that 5 to 10 year range, so it goes from 3% of the people who've lived here less than 5 years go to town meeting, but 11% of the people who've lived here 5 to 10 years do go to town meeting. And so that number has really jumped. And so now people who have lived here less than, or been registered to vote, I should say, less than 5 years is down to 27%, and we have a bigger pie chart here for the 5 to 10 years has moved up to 27%. So I think we'll get more participation just by people having been here longer and maybe have gotten to know what town meeting is. But I look forward to exploring that in more detail. And I think the survey is a great idea, and I already filled out the survey, but one thing, I hadn't, on the evening town meeting, I don't want coffee, but I really wanted coffee at the morning town meeting. I hadn't thought of that. So I think that needs to be an addition. Let's see. But I look forward to the survey results and see what people want to do. Thanks to everybody for putting that together.
Thank you, Amy. I would echo the coffee issue as well. Every morning, we all need a few cups. But thank you. I think I would echo some of the things my colleagues have said. But one emphasis on is that one big thing I heard is the coordination of the dates were in conflict with some of the major events, especially for kids and schools. So there was a few soccer tournament that was happening. I think there was a communion that was happening. So all those are kind of must do for people of certain group or people of certain age and family category who were simply unable to join. So one thing to think about, should we go for a Saturday date or something on a weekend, we would need to put in a lot more effort to see how best we can plan and orchestrate with these other key event areas, and how can we make sure everyone kind of blocks that calendar. And I know it's going to be hard, but as for example, for next year, should we do that? Probably in the next couple of weeks, we should do that. So that's one way to kind of mitigate that, because I did a, kind of scan, and I'm waiting for more detailed data. But people with kids of a certain age and others were like very minimal for that reason. And also I take what Zach and Connor, you have mentioned, adding some daycare service would certainly help them join as well. Apart from that, I agree. I think more communication, more evangelism, and kind of helping out and encouraging people to join the town meeting is gonna be the key. And communication-wise, also our feedback was there wasn't enough boards or enough public communication on this for general residents. People who are involved and engaged at volunteer level, they are more aware than general residents. But that's another thing we could also look at potentially. Otherwise, I thought it was a great success. We finished on time. We had most of the articles except one, and I think we pretty much made it with quorum, except the last one. But it was very tight, and again, we definitely want to put in more effort to increase the participation going forward. And I'm looking for more comments coming through various public forums and feedback and survey mechanisms. So more to come on that. So with that, I think, Joe, did you want to add some?
I just have one more question. Just to remind all the residents, how long is the survey open for? And where can they go for it? I just want to document that, because again, going back to our advertising issues, right? We've got to start early thinking about those things, and I think it even starts with something like this survey.
Yep. So the survey is available. It's posted on the town's Facebook account. It's on the town's webpage. There is no termination date. It's something that maybe the board wants to determine when we close the survey. I figured this meeting, being the first meeting since the survey has been open, is a good time to think about that. We have about 100 responses thus far, which is pretty good. I got a call from Nick Schofield, well, not a call, an email from Nick Schofield, who wants to put an article out about it, help us circulate it a little bit further, so hopefully get some more feedback. But it's up to the board in terms of when you'd like to close that down and start analyzing some of that data.
Do we have to decide it today?
I don't think we need to decide tonight. I would lean towards keeping it open longer,
Yeah, at
right?
least another month, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at least, I feel like once school stops, people are going to lose focus in town. People head out of town for the summer, so we probably don't need to go much beyond that. But I see no harm in keeping it open right now.
That makes sense. Brian, do you have anything else to add or comment?
No, I'm fine for now. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
I should think of one more thing.
Yeah.
As I was looking through the statistics, I thought it was interesting. There's only, I think, I'm going to count 18 people who have attended all 10 of the last 10 annual town meetings. So Mr. Deegan is one of them. I'm not surprised. I'm one of them.
How many? How many?
The last 10.
wow.
Brian is one of them. But I don't know if we might want to recognize that sort of participation of people who attend every town meeting or 5 in a row or something, like a 5-timers club, like they do on Saturday Night Live.
It feels like cheating for me, Amy.
Yeah, it feels like cheating for you because it's your job. Yeah. But the other thing, or maybe, and I think I've heard other towns do recognize people who it's their first town meeting, just to really welcome them and thank them for coming, because it's everybody's first time once. So, anyway, yeah.
Sure. Well, more to come, and we'll keep the survey open. Thank you again to all of you. And please.
I just wanted to add, if I may, to kind of build off of two things that you folks said that I think are important to recognize. And Shadul, one that you said as well. There's always going to be a risk that there will be conflicts in the coming year that we could figure out and identify. But at the end of the day, we're all part of different social groups. Our families are involved in different organizations and clubs, and we don't know what we don't know. It's vital that we hear from folks about what things we need to be worrying about or in conflict, organizations we need to be reaching out to, and for individual residents, citizens that are concerned about things that will be coming before town meeting, to discuss with the organizations they are involved in to ensure that they can set this as a priority that won't be in conflict with other things in their lives. The other piece I wanted to touch on is something that Mr. Herr said. I can't echo enough how vital it is to see about if you can find town sponsors for anything. It's the very first thing it says on the citizens petition guide that this board and the town manager's office publishes. And it's first step you should do is reach out to a town board that you think might touch that particular issue and see if you can find a solution there first. And the reason I say that is that gives so much more opportunity for situations like the boards, town council, town staff to review everything. So, keep in mind, take advantage of the experts that are available to you if you go through that process as well.
Thank you.
I neglected to mention Mr. Harrow, who is in the room, has also been to the last 10 town meetings.
Oh.
And if I can take this opportunity to point out, there's been a long period of discussion here about silos.
Thank you. Sorry, we can't open for public comments at this time. But thank you again, and we'll continue the conversation and thought process on this. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll move to our next agenda item, which is Public Safety Assessment Draft Scope. The Select Board will consider reviewing a draft scope of a public safety assessment, which would be used to obtain proposals from consultants. The assessment is funded in the FY27 town budget. Elaine, do we have a context that you can help us?
Sure. As you may recall, the town meeting appropriated $24,000 for an assessment. And prior to coming up with the proposal for the amount, I talked to a couple of consultants about what the board was thinking about and whether that was what the right amount of money was. So one of them did come back with what's in the packet today, which is a draft overview and scope that reflects what other communities have done and what this board has talked about. And a scope of this size is something that they're saying is within our budget. But of course, it can be modified. And this will go out to for public seeking of proposals. So it would be a bid process.
Thank you, Elaine. Open it up for questions. Amy?
Can you skip me? I'll come.
Oh, sure.
Come back.
Mr. Clark?
Yeah, so I want to start with kind of like the process side of things. So like you said, Elaine, this is going to go out to like public bid. I know sometimes we look for like consultants we've used in the past, and it's kind of like, you know, a proactive approach to that, as opposed to like, how wide does this go in something like this? Because this is different than something we've ever done as a town, from my understanding.
I think in this case, we'd look to see consultants that other communities have used. We would also go out to their public agencies, state and federal agencies who do this work as well. They may be interested. There are nonprofit entities and consultants. So we would look to see, because we haven't done a study like this before, who others have used, reach out to them and reach out to our other communities and see who might be a good consultant to reach out to. And then the board would review whatever is received and make a determination.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a start. Again, like I do not expect us to like solve this tonight. It's kind of like the first pass of this. I know how much work you've done in the background on this, Elaine, so thank you. So I think my only other thing was I personally wanted to look for, and I don't know if I'm seeing it in here anymore, but as far as scope, I wanted to know, you know, we talk about like performance management of like our town leaders, specifically the fire chief, the police chief. I've said this before, it's extremely difficult to come up and performance manage when it's outside of your field. You know, I do it all the time for work, and I grew up around the firehouse, right? So it's not like I'm unfamiliar with it, but it's very different to be in this seat and do it. So I think if we could use this also as a way to help set those goals, I think it would be critical as like a path forward to have that expertise that we could lean on and establish kind of a future path for us. I'm good otherwise.
Thank you. Brian, do you want to add and ask any questions or comments?
Yeah, one comment I would have is to make sure in the RFP that we issue, Elaine, that we ask one of the questions to be and get information from the applicants about their qualifications as they see it and their experience in doing this type of work in Massachusetts. Sometimes with RFPs in the public sector, you can put them out there and all kinds of different folks can apply and, you know, spin it up and try and get some business out of it. But I really want to see the experience in Massachusetts doing this type of work and have that documented in their response. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I think you said this already. You're going to get feedback from other towns. So I guess I'd like to know if other towns have done this and it brought them the things that they, you know, what they need to improve, and then they were able to budget the things they need to improve. Probably have a cost, so they would budget to get all those things done. They could help them prioritize and figure out how to improve. And then, so are we wanting to add to it, or think about it another week, or?
Well, I think I wanted to give like one of the things I wanted to see out of it. I think, you know, again, with it being an RFP, we're going to get responses, right? Some will be inside our budget, some will not be. We will have to make a decision as a board, like how we move forward. You know, a lot of times this stuff, you know, you add scope, you know, you de-scope things, right? Like as we get through it, I think this is a starting point. If you want to add something, it doesn't hurt.
No, I don't think I have anything at the moment, but I didn't know how long before we want to send it out, because it'll be a process to,
yeah.
Like, if we want to wait one more meeting to send it out, or we want to go ahead and send it?
Oh, no, I'm comfortable.
You're comfortable sending it out?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just had a couple of questions. One is, in doing the scoping, did we follow any industry standards or framework based on which we can kind of compare apples to apples? I'm thinking after the assessment is done, what are we going to do with it? And a good way to do that is, can we compare it from past assessments, compare it with other towns' assessments? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think one of the things the consultants did mention was that, you know, everyone's is a little bit different, you know, the focus that they have. And so it may not be totally comparable to someone else's assessment, but if it's something that this town wants to do regularly, then you will be able to have those benchmarks going forward. And one of the, I think the important thing is this last section on deliverables. We want to make sure that what's delivered is what the board is looking for and what sets you up with a good framework going forward to continue this and to then implement and monitor whatever is recommended as well. So make sure we take a good look at that, make sure it's what we want.
Thank you. That makes sense. And last one on this is, so what is the next step? We're going to float the RFP, and once we get the responses, we're going to discuss as a group, or it'll be through your office only?
The board would review
Board would
those.
get purview on this. And
We would work with our procurement manager to issue an RFP or IFP, whatever process it comes out to be. But it may take a little bit of time. It's post-town meeting, we have to get in a queue to go forward, so.
what's our timeline now for this?
Not sure.
Okay, let's check on that.
We want to start working on that right away, though.
Great, yeah. No, I'd look forward to that, and I think this would be a great way to assess ourselves, of course, and then look for improvement opportunities. Any other question from anyone else?
Do we need a motion to move forward? Are we good to, I think we're just good to have you guys post this, right?
If that's what you'd like to do, then.
Did we need a motion?
Quick motion, then.
Yeah. I would move to authorize the town manager's office to move forward with the RFP process.
For a public safety assessment, right?
Yes, for public safety assessment.
Second.
Roll call vote. Amy?
Amy Rodebush, yes?
Joe Clark, yes.
Brian?
Brian Herr, yes.
Shahidul Manan, yes. Thank you, Elaine. Let's move forward with that.
Still not there?
He was not, I don't think he's
Matt
there.
is not there.
No, he's not there anymore.
The next item is order of taking Linden Street. The Select Board will consider executing an order of taking and acquiring by eminent domain as authorized pursuant to Article 33 of the May 2, 2026 Annual Town Meeting, a permanent easement for all purposes for which public ways are used in the town of Hopkinton, including the installation and maintenance of utilities over, in, under, through, and upon the parcel of land depicted as Linden Street, shown on a plan of land entitled Street Acceptance Plan, Linden Street, Hopkinton, Massachusetts, prepared by Haley Ward and dated October 7, 2025. So before we start, Elaine, do you want to give us more context?
Sure, so this follows up with one of the town meeting articles that passed, and that's the acceptance of Linden Street. So town council has drafted an order of taking and a vote of the board to move that forward. These will get recorded in the Registry of Deeds, and the abutters will be notified.
Thank you. Questions, comments? Mr. Clark?
Nope, I mean, this is straightforward to me. This is based off a town meeting, right? This is the actual motion to move forward. So I'm good.
And the town manager indicates it's all in order, ready for us to. Okay.
Amy?
Yep, so I don't have any other questions.
Brian, do you have any questions, comments?
No questions or comments, thank you.
I don't have any either, so we can move to move the motion.
I hereby move that the Select Board acquired by eminent domain as authorized pursuant to Article 33 of the May 2nd, 2026 session of the Hopkinton Annual Town Meeting, and further to authorize the chair to execute and enter into any and all documents necessary to effectuate the acquisition of the following property: a permanent easement for all purposes for which public ways are used in the town of Hopkinton, including the installation and maintenance of utilities over, in, under, through, and upon the parcel of land depicted as Linden Street, shown on a plan of land entitled Street Acceptance Plan, Linden Street, Hopkinton, Mass., prepared by Haley Ward and dated October 7, 2025, and recorded with the Middlesex South Registry of Deeds. And further, that the board determine that no persons will sustain damages in their property by reason of the herein taking, all in accordance with the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 79, Section 6, as amended, and award no damages in accordance with this determination.
Second.
We'll do roll call vote. Amy?
Amy Rodebush, yes?
Joe Clark, yes.
Brian?
Brian Herr, yes.
Shahidul Manan, yes. Thank you. We'll move to town manager report.
All right, so this week we have a town department position vacancy in the DPW. So in the FY27 budget is a new working four-person in the water and sewer department. And so in your packet is a memo from DPW director outlining the support for this position that was stated during the budget process. And this would allow for focusing, have two crews on duty and to further the work of the department.
Any questions?
I'm good, no questions.
Brian, feel free to jump in. All right, please continue.
No questions.
Thank you. I don't have any either. Next one?
No, I think we need a motion there, right? Is that the
Oh, is there a motion?
I move to approve the posting of a working four-person position in the Water and Sewer Division of Public Works.
This is filling a vacancy, or it's
It's a new position.
a new position? Okay.
July 1st.
Okay, so I'd second.
Roll call vote?
You made the
I
motion.
made the motion, you seconded, yeah.
Amy Rodenbush, yes.
Joe Clark, yes?
Brian?
Brian Hurd, yes.
Shahidul Manan, yes. Thank you.
So next is the report on the fundraising from the 130th Boston Marathon Invitational entries that the town received and distributed to local organizations. So this year, the organizations raised $542,000, $853.56. So it was a great year. The report by organization is attached, by BIB, and I think just virtually every entity, every runner was able to provide the minimum 6,000 that the board was looking for, and some well in excess.
Thank you.
So it was a
That's awesome.
fantastic fundraising this year.
And that's for how many organizations?
I don't know the number of organizations, but it was 52 entries.
Awesome. Any questions, comments?
No, it's just great that it was a little bit more than last year was raised. So that's good.
I'm good.
And then finally, I wanted to talk about your summer schedule, June and then July and August. If you want to meet once a month, we could set those dates. I put in my report the dates where your regular schedule would fall, but it doesn't have to be on those dates that you meet. So
I will say I already planned my vacation around these dates. I'll be gone July 11th through the 20th, so I'll be back in time for the 21st. So I can do all these dates. I don't know about anyone else.
Yeah, I have no issues.
Brian, any issues with the
Going to
dates?
One per month? Sorry, are we going to one per month or no?
Yeah, we were proposing once a month. I think in June we have 2, July we have 2. So do we want to go once a month is the first question, but Amy and Clark are okay, Mr. Clark are okay with the current dates. Would you like to propose once a month, or you think these dates would work?
If I can
I don't have a strong opinion. I was just trying to clarify what we're looking at.
Thank you.
If I can make a recommendation, I love the idea of once a month in the summer. I think you should look at kind of some of the upcoming meeting agenda items and work with Elaine. I think, I don't have any issues with any of these dates. These current ones worked for Amy as well. So I think if you kind of work with Elaine, you could kind of figure out how to fit them into once a month. I think the board and the town would be very receptive of that.
Yeah, that sounds like a plan.
Yeah, I agree with Mr. Clark that if we could reduce it to once a month without still having time to fit everything in, I think that would be great.
I'm also okay with all the dates except for July 7th, but I'll work with Elaine and we'll see how we can work and communicate to all of you, and feel free to give feedback over email or call or talking to Elaine, and we'll target once a month. Hopefully we can fit in.
I think July 7th could be a problem because the holiday the previous week, we'd have to post the agenda very far in advance.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we'll work on those and communicate back to you, all of you.
And if something is urgent, we could try to do a remote meeting, like or something brief.
Yeah, good idea. All right, liaison reports and board invites.
I don't have anything new this week.
Amy?
I think, let's see, for the board invites, we have the Pride Parade and the 4th of July Parade. So I guess it would be good to know if any of us are going to go to those and if we could march together. Are you guys planning to be at the July 4th Parade?
Planning to be, yep.
I will be out of town.
You'll be out of town.
Brian, do you have plans for attending July 4th? July 4th even?
Yeah, I will be out of town.
Okay, thank you.
And you'll be attending too?
I am planning to. yeah.
Okay. So
We can ask Matt.
we can ask Matt. We could all three go together if
Right,
we're all
we have a banner.
Have a banner, yes.
Yeah, so we could do that. Yeah, let's plan for that.
And then the same Pride Parade, have the invites up. The Pride Parade is June 20th on the Common, and I'm able to attend. I don't know if others are planning to attend.
I'm planning to attend. I usually attend every year, but
And then right before the next meeting on the 2nd, we'll have people from the Freedom Team come to raise the Juneteenth flag.
Oh, right, okay.
that is the June
We'll have the
2nd?
time on the- I think we did it at 5:30 last time.
Is that June 2nd meeting?
June 2nd.
Does that work for everyone?
I think so. I'm not sure if I'm traveling that day, but we'll figure it out.
Okay. Brian, do you have any comments or you think you can make it?
I won't know until that day, given my work schedule.
Okay, we'll work it out then.
Okay, so we do the flag on June 2nd if possible. Okay.
Yep, 5:30.
I'll have to confirm that with them, what time.
All right. Thank you. Anything else, Amy?
I don't think there's anything else now.
Brian, do you have anything that you want to talk about for liaison reports?
Not at this time, no, thank you.
Thank you.
I did think of, sorry.
Yeah.
So in addition to the town meeting survey, which we already talked about, there is also a charter review committee survey that is out there, and both of the surveys are not very long to take, so I would encourage everybody to take them. And I think it's still open till the end of the week, the applications to be on the police chief screening committee, is that right? The
29th, I think?
29th, yep.
Yeah, so if anyone wants to apply for that, they have a chance through the 29th.
How's it looking generally? Are we getting applicants?
Last I knew, there were 17 applicants.
Oh, nice. Okay, great. All right. I don't have anything. I just wanted to update. I joined the Memorial Day event, and it was a wonderful event indoors. Amy did too, indoors in St. John's Church. Because of rain, it was taken indoors, but it was well participated. More than 200 residents and veterans, and Representative James DeRosa also joined. It was really a very thoughtful and solemn event. We all had it very good and very well organized through the Veterans Celebration Committee. So thank you to the Celebration Committee, and really wonderful program. So with that, anything else on liaison? Future board agenda items, anything to add from anyone?
I thought we had already added Elaine, but the conversation around what we do with these private roads, like we saw from the citizen petition, I think there's other options aside from making them public. Like, let's get that on. You know, we weren't able to do it for this evening, but let's prioritize that if we can for another conversation, because I think there's options there, and we just need to address them.
Yeah, I agree, that would be good for
That would be a good addition, sure. Anything else? Brian, anything you wanted to add?
No, thank you.
I had one, and actually two potentially. One is for the public forum that we have in the board meeting, we kind of set out the rules and that we are following, first 15 minutes and then towards the end remaining. But I think given some of the feedback and a lot of enthusiasm from the residents, it'll be good for all of us to kind of shed some light on it and see, is there any other thoughts or any way we can, we want to restructure, we want to manage it differently, or we are all good with the way we have laid it out now. So something for a future agenda item so we all can speak to it and figure out how we want to operate in future. And the second one was, we hear a lot about town communication on town meetings and others. I know there's a lot of effort that goes out and we communicate, we feel like, top of our lungs, but still sometimes it doesn't always reach all the residents. We get that feedback. So something we want to look at and see, what are our current communication venues and channels? What can we add? What kind of brainstorming, if there are ways we can make it better and improve on those. So those are the two I was thinking. If anything else?
We did have a resident here for public forum. I know he walked out, but I don't know if he's on the Zoom or something.
Yeah, this would be a good time to,
There's no one on the Zoom.
no one on the Zoom. I saw him working out, so hopefully,
Hopefully he knows he can come back next week and next meeting.
yep. We have Brian. We can open up the public forum for some public comments. Please come over.
Good evening. My name is Brian Johnson. I live at 20 Birkdale Lane. I've been a resident of Hopkinton for approximately 5 years. Having received one or maybe more surveys regarding town meeting, I just wanted to share a few thoughts. Regarding one idea I've seen floated, I would urge against moving away from open town meeting. In the early 1960s, the town of Brattleboro, Vermont did exactly that. And in April of this year, they returned to open town meeting primarily because the residents of Brattleboro felt they no longer had sufficient voice in how their town was being run.
Excuse me, Brian, can you speak to the microphone?
We're living in a time in history where more and more citizens feel their voice no longer matters, where important and consequential decisions are being made by fewer and fewer people who don't care about how their decisions impact others. Let's not take Hopkinton in that direction. I would instead look for ways to remove barriers to attendance, whether this might include providing transportation to those who need it, nearby or on-site activities for kids so parents can attend, or something else. Identifying and removing barriers is something that can and should be further explored. Finally, some of these topics that come up in the warrant items are complex and occasionally difficult. Have we explored ways to clarify some of these items? Admittedly, this might not be easy. I've talked to people about items on the warrant, and at first their eyes glaze over until suddenly something connects and they see how it impacts them. Are there better ways to help our neighbors digest some of the more complex items without asking them to do a lot of homework? Town meeting might not be considered by many to be fun or exciting, but in this age, when so many people feel that democracy is under attack, town meeting's a treasure. Let's do what we can not only to preserve it, but to promote it. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else in the room or on Zoom who wants to speak? Do you see anyone?
There's no one on
No one?
Zoom.
Seeing none,
Then I would move to convene in an executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, Purpose 3, to discuss strategy with respect to litigation, Stonewall at Assessor's Map, Parcel R16-270, between 61 and 65 Winter Street, pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, Purpose 2, to consider strategy with respect to negotiations with non-union personnel, non-union town employees, to approve executive session minutes, 3/17/26, 3/31/26, 5/2/26, to allow Elaine Lazarus, Lance Del Fiore, Jay Tallerman, Ed Harrow, and Maury Gasser to participate in executive session, and not to convene in open session at the conclusion of executive session.
Second.
we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Rubush?
Amy Rodabush, yes?
Joe Clark, yes.
Brian?
Brian Herr, yes.
Shahidul Manan, yes. Thank you. Have a good night.
Oh, I need some.